Hey guys, David Pinger here with Vital MX with another project bike. And this is a little bit different from us, a departure for sure from the normal motocross versions we've been building. It's a 2020 Honda CRF450L. And this bike was all new last year in 2019, kind of designed to compete with KTM, who's really dominated that market with their EXC line. And with this project bike, we wanted to do something to make it compete with that motorcycle. And so we had to do some things that flirt with that line a little bit. We did remove the thermostat and we did remove some of the emission stuff. So this is basically set up for off-road only, and we will only ride it as such in accordance with all the laws and regulations. Let's go around what we did to this thing first of all. There's no plastics made for this thing yet, but Acerbis did set us up with some hand guards, which are clutch anytime you're riding off-road. I mean, even just bushes and branches. We also went to a lot of works connection parts, the elite perch, clutch perch and lever, a lot of the works connection clamps, caps for all the brake stuff, radiator braces, which on a bike this big is a really good insurance policy. So another big performance gain on this thing that we got was through the full Yoshimura exhaust system, and that's paired to a Vortex ignition and mapped accordingly. Huge changes in terms of numbers all the way across the board. But the great thing about the Yosh system, those guys have really found a nice balance between finding a good sounding note to the exhaust, but something that generates a lot more horsepower, but something that's not annoying. Because when you're on a long ride for hours at a time, a really loud muffler can start to give you a headache and drone on. So they've really done a good job. It's not annoying at all. It's actually still pretty quiet, but it just has kind of a throatier, meatier sound to it. So great job on that. The seat as well. Seat Concepts does an awesome job. Anytime, if you've ridden one of these on a long ride, you know the seat's a little bit uncomfortable. And so Seat Concepts does a great job of just building better saddles. So if you look at this thing, it's kind of widens as you get to the back just to give you a little bit more of a platform to sit your butt on, and it makes a huge difference, especially if you're going to be doing long distances on these things like you can. It makes a huge difference. So check out Seat Concepts if you're looking for something like that. They make seats for everything from moto bikes, adventure bikes, off-road, snowmobiles, so check those guys out. An IMS tank, which gives us a lot more range even over what comes stock on the L. So this was a kind of a must-have if you're going to be out doing long rides. And we filled that with VP fuel. Those guys are a part of all of our project builds. Awesome fuel, awesome lubricants, chain lube, filter oil, you name it, they make all that stuff. So check those guys out, VP Racing Lubricants and Fuels. So the wheels are another big part of this. W built us up a complete set with hubs, a DID wheel set, their spokes, mounted that to Dunlop tires, Galfer rotors, and also a steel braided line on the front for the Galfer rotors, which really improves stopping power there. So we kept the inside of the engine all stock and reliable. We got our horsepower gains through the exhaust and ignition and the VP fuels, nothing inside the motor. We've got a DID chain with a Renthal rear sprocket on this thing. The AT81 Dunlop tires is what we went with. And we also have a Trailtech Voyager heads-up display here. It actually does a lot of really cool things. If you're riding with a partner, you can kind of see where you're each at. It obviously is GPS, maps you everywhere you go. Feeds you a lot of really cool information if you're going on adventure rides or searching waypoints and things like that. So a really cool device there that clips on and off. So if you're leaving your bike in the back of your truck or something, you can pop that off. It's a cool feature. A few more key components on this thing: a full recluse automatic clutch. I don't know if you've ridden with one of these, but the newer units, they've made crazy progress in the last decade with these. It's kind of like cheating. If you're in tight stuff where you're constantly kind of stop and go, rocks, you're just never going to stall your bike. So it's a huge advantage. It kind of takes the clutch work out of the equation, which can be really cool. So really, really neat products. Check those guys out. AXP skid plate, and this thing is the works. You can basically smash into anything you want with this thing. It's going to protect your motor. It's got an arm that kind of extends and protects the linkage as well. AXP chain guard also on this thing. So they make really cool products designed to really be durable. Zeta case guard and also heel guard, they call it there, on the rear swing arm, just to keep your foot from getting back near the chain. Those guys make a lot of really cool products as well. And IMS foot pegs, just a little bit better platform than the stock one. Looks really cool. They're all chrome and polished. One more thing we did on the handling side is I went to Works Chassis Lab and we got some engine mounts. It's a titanium front and aluminum rear, and it's designed that way specifically to add a little more rigidity up front, give you a little bit more flex in the top character of the frame where it attaches. And it's just an improved feel all around on these bikes. Baja Designs Headlight. Anytime you're getting caught out at night potentially, this thing is amazing. Super powerful, lights up the trail really well. So thanks to Baja Designs on that. Also, the graphics were done by Decal Works, so I want to thank those guys. They came in with the matte looking finish on this thing, looks really nice. And then the big component on the handling on this bike, we went to AHM, who has a lot of experience in the off-road world, specifically on Hondas, and we asked them to give us the works on this thing. And they do some really cool stuff with a spring perch inside the fork. The bumper on the shock is a little bit shorter, so it actually gives you a little more travel. And these guys just have a lot of testing hours out in the desert, so they know what these things need to work right. And from the first time I hit some sand whoops out here today, I just felt comfortable on it. I knew it was never gonna kick, swap side to side, like it just has a very planted, plush feel on the little chop, but progressive to where you feel like you can really push this into big G outs or into any kind of jump faces or whatever you want it, whatever you're going after. So those guys really did an awesome job. On the trail out here today, I think the first thing, I rode a stock L, so I kind of had a good baseline comparison. And then I rode an X model, which is kind of its big brother, more of the off-road world. So I wanted to see how this thing fit in there. And I can tell you this doesn't even really feel like an L anymore. It feels more like, you know, the X model or RX. It's very, very, very capable on any kind of off-road riding you want to do. As I mentioned, the HM suspension is amazing. If I was going to go race off-road, that's what this stuff feels like. Like you're going to go race works races on it. Initially, just very, very compliant, but super stable and predictable. And for me, especially when you're going fast through the desert, sand whoops, I want to know what it's going to do. And I never second guess this stuff. So those guys really did an awesome job. I think the tires made a huge difference as well, compared to what you'd get on an L. Obviously these aren't street legal, but man, as far as just tracking straight and feeling like, especially in the sand wash, like I'm planted, much, much better. And then the engine, as I mentioned earlier, just a lot more horsepower everywhere. There wasn't that sort of delay down low on the stock model where it just takes some time to get some RPMs going. This thing picks up right away. It's a nice, steady, smooth power all the way through the range. I can pull kind of any gear I want, and again, I'm not worrying about stalling it. If I get into something tighter, I got to grab brakes. The Recluse clutch just keeps it running. So it was a really neat combination of all those things. I noticed the comfort right away in the seat. Sometimes where it wings out a little bit, if I had to get really far back, I kind of feel these. It took me a little bit of getting used to, but I was almost using it as a way to pinch onto the bike a little bit better. Kind of like the wings that you see Dean Wilson run on his seat, look kind of weird. It just gives you a better pinch point. So not only was it more comfortable, I felt like I could grab onto the bike a little bit better, if that makes sense. So I was really stoked on that. I love the Works Connection clutch perch. It's always had a really good feel to me. Looks great, easy to adjust. Even with the hand guards here, the big wheel kind of stands up so you can spin it forward or back if you need to. And honestly, just everything was really comfortable on this bike. I really don't like bikes that feel like the front end is super heavy. And a lot of times these off-road bikes, because you got the tank, you got these GPS devices, you know, the speedometer, all that stuff, the front end feels very heavy and like it's almost searching, right? I didn't have that feel on this, and so I would say that I would credit that to HM again, doing a great job on this fork. Knowing what this is designed for, they set it up for that. The front end feels like it's riding right where it needs to be. I don't have any issues with the front end feeling like it's super heavy. It felt like a motocross bike / off-road bike, race bike to me. So awesome all the way around, stoked on this thing. Thank you to all the companies that came on and contributed. I think we're giving Cole Seeley's bike a run for its money, especially in terms of performance. Cole, we'll see you out in the desert. We'll take you on Vital MX versus your build. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Thank you to all the companies involved. We'll see you in the next race shop project.